As you know, Aung San Suu Kyi is the daughter of the, father of, of independence. And because her father has contributed so much, the countries look upon the entire family with gratitude and favor. So her mother, who was a nurse, was initially appointed as chairman of the Planning Commission, a ministerial post. And then she was appointed as, I should say at the time, our most important, the neighboring country, India, as ambassador. So Aung San Suu Kyi went to India with her mother when she was about 14 years of age, and stayed abroad for about 30 years, a little over 30 years, maybe. And you ask why she is under what is commonly known as house arrest. She came back to Myanmar when we have anarchy all over the country in 1988 to look after her mother, who was very, very sick. And, a few months later, her mother, passed away. The government, would like to have good relations with Aung San Suu Kyi. But it is the opinion, of the government, the policies, that she has engaged in is detrimental to the national reconciliation process, poses a danger, to the country.
How?
Yes, there's been a lot of confrontation between the government and Aung San Suu Kyi in the initial period while we are trying to restore peace and stability to the country. So she was, put under the restraint order, and this, under, the existing legal system, which dates back to the British, the people who the government regard, as, a danger to the nation, can be put under restraint order for a year by an administrative order. That, regulation exists, if I'm not mistaken, in Pakistan.
Well, you can't quote Pakistan as an example.
No.
It's a horrible example to quote.
No, in India, and India.
Yeah,
no,
India you can quote.
All the British, all the British colonies, have that. So she was put under a restraint order. But at the same time, the government we want to have a reconciliation, reconciliation with her. So during her detention, there have been continuous, discussion with her in order to build, a mutual confidence. In order to build a mutual confidence. And in 1995, we have already started what we call the national convention process to draw up a constitution. And here I'd like to stress that this is a constitution that must be acceptable to the national races, including the insurgent groups. So by then, some of the insurgent groups have already came back to the legal fold. And we have a national convention. National convention, Aung San Suu Kyi's party, National League for Democracy, was part of the national convention process. So in 1995, we remove all constraint. We had hope for a reconciliation with her. But the very next day, at the press conference, the government, regard that she has gone back to her confrontational policy. At a press conference, she, challenged the government for quote unquote dialogue or utter devastation. And the main task for the state was to see that the country do not disintegrate. The main task for the state was to have a constitution that is acceptable to everyone, including the ethnic national races. So, and she unilaterally attempted to call the parliament. Then again, she was put under a restraint order. So, this is off and on. Again, the government, negotiated with Aung San Suu Kyi. because of the very special position occupied by her father, she was always treated with respect. And during that time, our head of state and the senior leaders met with her 4 times, and a ministerial group met with her 20 times. So we came to some accommodation. She was again, removed from all the constraints. So since she was under, while she was under all these restraint order, we've been building the country. So, she asked to see the infrastructure project. We took her all over the country. She traveled all over the country. And everywhere she goes, she is treated as a high dignitary. Because as you rightly said, she's the daughter of the father of our independence, General Aung San.
Yes, but Mr. Ambassador, if there is a choice between stability and security concerns on the one hand, and democracy and personal privacy concerns on the other, I can understand that initially stability and security concerns carry greater weight. But sooner or later, stability and security concerns have to give way to democratic forces and respect for personal privacy. And so that change, is that change taking place in Myanmar, yes or no, or are you still living in 1995? We are 13 years after 1995. What is the change in 13 years? Are you moving in any direction towards democracy and privacy concerns?
Thank you very much, Ambassador. That's a very good question. The short answer
All my questions are good.
Yes. That's again. This is especially good question.
It's about your answers that we have doubts.
Yes. The short answer is yes. We are instituting far-reaching changes. Far-reaching changes. Why? As you said, we are able to bring about stability. Out of the 18 insurgent groups, 17 has now came back to the legal fold. And I have to tell you, they still have 100,000 people under arms. Because the insurgents are not fighting, only against the government. Some of them are fighting against each other. So in the interim, as a concession, the government has to allow them to hold on to their arms. And what the government did was, we, together with them, develop their respective areas. So that project started some 15 years ago. Since then, we have spent something like 100 billion of our own local currency, plus 550 millions to develop these ethnic nationality areas. And we have successfully completed the national convention, in which all the representative of the insurgent groups took part. And we, have also completed a draft constitution. And the referendum will be held in May. And I'd like to tell you that the new constitution, which is completed as a draft form, is for democracy. It was for a multi-party, democratic state. It is for national unity. It is to bring the country, forward after establishing stability to a new level for a democratic state.
But what will be the role of the army under this new constitution?
Yes. There will be a role for the army because, as I mentioned to you, the military always, have a role in national politics. There will be a role for the army. There will be certain seats reserved for the military in the parliament. If you look at the history of our neighboring countries, including Thailand, including Indonesia, that is how they started democracy. But as democracy, mature, these special privileges are given away to a 100% fully democratically elected system. So the military will still have a role. On that point, Ambassador, this is not only not only